Well, one, obviously, if you have been growing your business and now you can then afford to hire a resource, you can now start, delegating some of that responsibility to someone else. Now, what I did was I went out and looked through a bunch of resumes, and I brought in an outside salesperson, an account executive, and their job was to simply dial up businesses and try to. This was all pre-COVID. Try to meet with them and have a face-to-face conversation about IT services. That being said, one of the other things that we also did was we kind of immersed ourselves within the Chamber of Commerce. As again, we were a smaller MSP. We were just here in Ottawa, so we got involved in a lot of chamber events as well, but also other community events, trade shows, that kind of stuff. Ottawa's about 1 million people here, so there was a lot of things going on, and that really, really helped at least kick off a lot of those phases. It didn't really kind of increase anything out of the gates, but we were finally starting to get some good conversations going. Okay, so you can't expect sales to change overnight. You have to build a pipeline, and oftentimes that pipeline is, day one starts one way, but then you start seeing those conversations improve and you get your cadence. And after about 4 to 6 months, it really, really started being very turnkey with the MSP that I was with. Now, the other thing that we did was I eventually, probably by month 6 or 7, is that I then went out and hired a BDR, a business development rep. And what their job really was to do was, again, either send out emails, marketing emails, being able to do targeted verticals, things like legal, insurance. I find service industries easier to sell to. That's just my personal preference because we're in the services business. So being able to speak service to service is just easier for me. There's more consumable to the business owner, the stakeholder that I have conversations with. So I always loved working with service-driven, especially professional service, lawyers, for example, people who can understand, that mentality. So I always focused on them first. Not to say that I wouldn't focus on medical or other ones as well, but I found those conversations much easier for new account managers or AEs to have. Now, that being said, one thing I did that really, really kind of hit things off early on was we had one account manager who was kind of like a technical account manager, who was kind of like a VCIO. So what I did was map out our technology stack, and we had probably 30 customers at the time when I first started. So I mapped out the 30 customers, and I wanted to understand very early on which one of the technologies did that customer have in my technology stack. And believe it or not, there was actually a lot of gaps. I had some people who were just doing patch management. They didn't have, we were Cisco Umbrella, a bunch of other technologies. I won't get into everybody, or into all of it, but they didn't have things like Office 365, some of them. They didn't have, they had their own email vendors. So I had these gaps where I could supplant our offering into our existing customers. So one of the things I do recommend is what I call creating a data mart, right? And so when you create your data mart, you map out your list of customers in one column and all of your technology and all of your services across the top. From there, identify what each customer has within your technology stack or within your service offering, and then start hitting your customers up on those particular pieces. And again, Stephanie touches base on a lot of that in her talk track. So you can definitely hop into her stuff and she'll talk more about that. But anyways, that's what I did when I was the director of managed services for that smaller MSP. But to me, knowledge is power. I like data and I like facts. So benchmarking and getting metrics from my sales team, at least when I was at the big MSP, was something that I spent a lot of time on. Understanding commission rates, understanding profitability. Anyway, I could go on and on about the things I did there, but it was that kind of insight that allowed me to really hone in and make recommendations to our our chief revenue officer. Yeah, so there's that.